Okay, so something different to start this episode of Ups and Downs, and please do forgive me, but if you haven't seen, Adam Cole had to pull out of his All-In match like an hour beforehand, or something like that, and my gosh, he gave the most heartfelt and emotional speech I've seen in a wrestling ring for a long old time. Without saying it, and also not wanting to say it, he basically hinted that he may have to retire through injury. So I just wanted to start the show by sending all the best to that guy. I mean, apart from being a top-tier wrestler, he is such a nice person. I've been able to share a few conversations with him, which I will not share because that doesn't seem fair. But honestly, he is like Mr. Nice Dude. He's the absolute best. And it was just horrible, and it was heartbreaking. And forget wrestling, it's the most important, the least important things. I really just do hope he is okay, and he's as healthy as he can be, and whatever he is going through, he can get over, and just get back to living a normal life. I mean, listen, it was an amazing show all in, and we are going to talk about it, but I could not think of another way to start this. So again, I take my Street Fighter ball of energy, and I throw it Adam Cole's way. Really hope he's all right. He's a genuine legend in so many ways as well if you do follow his career. But yes, hello my friends, welcome to Ups and Downs for All In, which I'm going to call AEW's WrestleMania, because people get so mad when I do say that. But settle in, we've got a lot to talk about. Let's up those downs. So I actually really enjoyed the first match we did throw out there, because it was for the Trios Championships, which meant we got Samoa Joe's Operations taking on the Death Riders with Gabe Kidd. Can't figure out whether he's in the group or not. Kind of just turns up, and then he doesn't turn up. It's like when you go to the cinema and you got a free movie ticket, all of a sudden Dave's there. You're like, Dave, you never come when I have like dinner at my house and you're invited. When it's a free movie trip, you're here. Dave's like, what the f*** are you talking about? Pretty sure Gabe Kidd had taken a rage pill before this as well, because he was just so wound up, and that meant we got a big old brawl. And essentially, this whole match was to tell you Samoa Joe is dangerous, and everybody at AEW knows Samoa is dangerous, so maybe we have to try and top Samoa Joe. Then Gabe Kidd tried to punch him in the head. Samoa Joe went, you don't get to punch me in the head. And he beat everyone up again. We also had some stuff with Gabe and Shibata because, of course, Shibata trained Gabe Kidd. And this poor Wheeler Yuta, who does have tremendous hair, but also looks a little bit like someone from the Addams family. And he tried, any tried any offense. He got totally murked. Which goes back to Dynamite this week, where the commentators were like, oh, ever since Wheeler turned on Bryan Danielson, he's been such a threat. Now, I like Wheeler Yuta. He has a massive upside, but this poor guy gets murked all the time. Turner, Castagnoli, and Joe then did some big men slapping man meat when Powerhouse Hobbs got the hot tag, which makes all the sense, because he's got even more man meat, and he basically followed in Samoa Joe's footstep. I mean, he is part of his operation team, and he flattened everybody too. Then Claudio big swung, if that is the right word, Powerhouse Hobbs right into barricades. I was like, well, if you were going to stop him, that's probably a good way to do it. We also got one kick out during this, so I'm sure somebody on the internet got mad when Shibata basically punted Yuta right in the skull. This poor guy, when Joe was like, that's a great idea, and he gave Wheels the Muscle Buster 1, 2, 3. Now, really, this was an angles match, because right after this, the Death Riders are like, we don't like the fact we didn't win our trios titles back, and we don't like you, especially Samoa Joe. And they took out the field, and they Pillmanized Mr. Samoa, because of course now he had to be stretchered to the back, which means he's not going to be able to help in the main event. I don't know who came up with that story, but it was a super duper nice touch. Not a nice touch, they tried to kill somebody, but I just love the idea of John Moxley sitting down with his goobers, being like, here's the plan, we have to stop Joe, otherwise we're cooked. So this was just really fun stuff, and again, you do need a match like this to kick off a show that I think with the pre-show went 8 hours. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it, but I will say this, I am usually one of the biggest critics when it comes to these elongated events, but actually, I didn't get to watch the pre-show, but I didn't get to watch the main body of it. Didn't actually think it felt 6 hours at all. In fact, I think it went pretty damn quick. Up. It was then the men's casino gauntlet after this, and I just love this gimmick so much, maybe too much. I'm starting to worry that you could actually put on a bad casino gauntlet, and I wouldn't realize just because I'm so into the concept. I love the fact the intervals are random. I love the fact you look at the entrance where like, who's it going to be? It makes me feel like a kid again. That's what wrestling's all about. Worst thing I can possibly say is that it does feel like AEW's Raw Rumble, but it's just a good comparison. And here's a list of people. I have to read it because my brain's not smart enough, because it was MJF and Mark Briscoe. We knew that. Then we got Ricochet, we got Bandido, we got Takeshita, we got Mystico, we got Josh Alexander, Anthony Bowens, Roderick Strong, Brody King, who got a wonderful pop. The returning Juice Robinson, who has shaved his beard, and that made the internet go mad. Kota Ibushi, the Beast Mortis, and of course, Max Caster. It's important to note as well, the Gates of Agony ran out at one point to try and cause some carnage on behalf of Ricochet, but that's when the Gun Club turned up too, in order to take them out, which ties into Juice, which also may mean Jay White is coming back soon, and given what we've just done to the main event scene, and because we've got some holes we need filling, This actually could be pretty good timing. MJF was also going for pins right away because he's just that guy when Mark Briscoe absolutely whooped his ass. And eventually when Ricochet did come out, him and Mark worked together for about 4 seconds and then boop, Ricochet poked him right in the eye. I tell you, this Ricky man, he is having a banger year. Very much like his new character. By this point, the ring was filling up, so we made sure everybody was taking shots and taking big moves. When Takeshita tried to hit the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the Blue Thunderbomb. And this doesn't work in a normal match, Takeshita. Why did you think it was going to work here? Him and Bandito then had a little bit of a square off, though, to tie into their amazing Ring of Honor match, which you also see. When Maxwell was like, do you know what I'd really like to do? Rip masks off. So he was trying to do it to Bandito. Actually, that would help Bandito, because on the wanted posters, he's there with his mask, so if he was maskless, he'd never be caught. Of course, it was Mystico that made the save for obvious reasons, and this was nice too. It tied right into the concept of the whole damn thing. He applied La Mystica to MJF, but do you know who stopped it? Mark Briscoe, because he doesn't like Max, but he doesn't want to lose. Brody King just ruined people when he arrived too. Just when Juice Robinson was tapping on Ricochet's bald head, so I had to deal with that nonsense. When this essentially turned into a big old brawl and we got a froggy bow and everybody was hitting finishing moves, and while I assumed that MJF was going to win, I want to say bravo to everybody involved. You got me, I couldn't make a call. Listen, I'm a big Maxwell Jacob Friedman fan, but this Mark Briscoe dude, he does something to my tum-tum. I wanted him to do it. He didn't. I do want to shout out Max Caster though, because he was basically Santina Morella here. He came in last when Roderick Strong instantly took him out with a knee. But actually, that would be Roddy's undoing, because I think he forgot other people were in the match. Because he turned around right into a J driller by Mark Briscoe, which is when MJF was like, I remember what a wrestling trope finish is. He grabbed Mark, he threw him out the ring, and he stole the pin. He is now kind of the #1 contender, or he has a magic contract that he can cash in or sign in. I don't know what you're talking about, and ultimately, it means this feud can continue, and thank goodness for that, because it is so good. And when you do break it all down like D-Generation X, MJF was the right winner, especially given our main event. These matches rule. This is when we learned that after beating the Outrunners on the pre-show, FTR were going to do commentary for the tag team match. This is when Adam Cole came out with Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, and it's just the saddest thing you've ever seen in your life. We've talked about it in the intro, but I'll say it here again. Keeping everything crossed. What AEW decided to do here as well is just throw 4 random people into a TNT title match as well, meaning it was Danny Garcia taking on Dustin Rhodes, taking on Sammy Guevara, and taking on Carl Fletcher. If you are any of the people on the internet that went, well, this doesn't make any sense, can you not see what we were doing here? We were just trying to give the crowd a little bit of good news after some of the worst news of the year. And if you can't get your head around that, just my opinion, because there's someone, you're a horrible person, it's very rare, but I'm going to do it here. There's always an exception to the rule. I think you are an asshole. I mean, how can you go from something as emotional as that and instantly go back into, I can't believe that Tony Khan did this? It's absolutely ridiculous, and you need to go outside and touch grass. I suppose the only criticism you could throw on this is it was a little bit too long, but who cares about that? And giving Dustin Rhodes the ring, I thought was so damn smart. He's from Texas, he was there with his friends and family. The crowd did react to that. He's like, 55 years old, which does make it more of an amazing story. And he looked so happy. So yes, we'd just gone from this horrible, horrible thing with Adam Cole, and we had just done the best we could. I actually thought this was really smart, but no ups, no downs, given what it does tie into. Me wiggling my finger around doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of life, but somebody's health does. But I thought, in terms of being thrown a curveball at the last minute, well, you couldn't have handled it better than this. He also won with the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, surprise roll-up on Daniel Garcia. It did make me laugh a little bit, because it came out of the Dragon Tamer. I was like, listen, Dan, you have to stop leaning so far back with that move. It kind of dicks you over every time. We then got back into our regular programming, and it was Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay taking on the Young Bucks to decide whether these guys weren't ever going to challenge for the world title for 12 months, or if we were losing some EVP ships. I said this on the internet, people got mad at me, but I've had a few hours to think about it. I'm going to say it again. In terms of this style of match, it is one of the best tag team matches I have ever seen in my life. And I just don't know who these people are anymore. They have to be wrestling aliens that have come from a wrestling planet. And what was so cool about it is that the crowd started electric, but by the end, they were absolutely losing their mind. They just got hotter and hotter and hotter. And some of the near falls, I genuinely didn't know who was going to win, because you could argue it both ways. But during the ending stretch, it was like, oh my gosh, the Bucks are going to win. No, Swerve and Will are going to win. It's like a proper roller coaster, and I turned into Elmo at one point, but that was the genius of it. They also had big entrances, because Jojo Offerman, of all people, sung Swerve to the ring using his old indie theme. The Young Bucks won again with being literal founding fathers, whereas Will Ospreay was a combination of Assassin's Creed, Rey Mysterio, came flying up in the air. I mean, there were small things in here too, like Mac Jackson super kicking Will Ospreay's leg when he went for an Oz cutter. At one point, Swerve Strickland did this dive over the ropes that was nuts enough. He landed on his feet, then he got super kicked right in the face. I watched that 4 times. The only other issue we have about this whole show is that at one point Will and Swerve did do double dives. So there's a dive counter. I couldn't keep up with these, and I told you, it was going to be like Goldberg Street back in the day where it just goes up randomly. I'm throwing a 10 on it. And even there, I think I'm being quite conservative. Dives are out of control. It is 2025. The segment 2 where the Bucks hit more kicks that was super before Matt hit a face buster, which Swerve and Will no-sold before coming back with their own combo, was the best thing I've seen since Mortal Kombat. Especially because it was a couple of Canadian destroyers and that Hidden Blade House Cool double team thingamajig. And honestly, as finishers go or as tag team moves go, that one is right up there. I mean, it's just the coolest thing you've ever seen in your life. They carried on with a Stormbreaker Stomp combo, but Nicholas Jackson broke that up because I think by this point he was having a conniption. And from here, the 1-2-oohs were nigh on perfect. Like if you were in Ospreay's and Strickland's corner and you were worried they were going to be taken out of the world title scene, the Young Bucks just went out of their way. I mean, it was a masterclass in putting fear right into your Tootsie Toes. And for the last 5 to 10 minutes, I was like, man, I don't know. If somebody walks in here right now, puts a gun to my head and said, guess, I'd be like, you know what? You may as well shoot myself in the head right now. That doesn't make any sense. Why would I shoot myself? The Bucks even hit a TK driver off the apron when they were smashing out hidden blades. And honestly, the near fall on that one, Swerve Strickland broke it up at 2.99999. I don't know how he timed it so well. By this point too, Swerve Strickland was taking bullets for Will Ospreay, and that's when they got me again, because I was like, they're going to lose, and then Swerve is going to fall out with Will, saying, not only did you make this stupid stipulation, and now you've taken my title shots away from me, but I was being your shield. I'm done with you. We then basically got a stomp tombstone combo because they were running out of moves, so just made up some new things, as Swerve Strickland got his own individual version of a stomp. If that makes any sense. And essentially, after Nicholas Jackson had been smashed into the apron, Matt was there like, man, I think I'm in trouble. And he did get hit with the hidden blade, house call, double team thing, whatever you want to call it. As I do repeat myself, he was totally dead. Will and Swerve got the 1, 2, 3. This place went absolutely ballistic. And I don't time matches because I'm not weird, but it must be like 30 minutes long. It feels like it goes about 7. It is just go, 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 move, move, move. Everybody do a dance. I'm not just giving it an up. I'm giving it a golden up. Even if it's from the fact that I wrestle myself and I watched from a technical point of view, I was like, I don't know how they're doing it. It is 2 + 2 = potato. I thought it was wonderful, and it's probably a match I am going to watch a lot for the best in the world. When we got into the women's gauntlet, this is when I realized I really like this gimmick. I could have taken a third one later on. It's not true, don't do it. Chris Statlander and Megan Bain started before Willow Nightingale arrived. And basically shouted at Chris, nah, flub that, I'm not going to team with you. When Ty Mello was number 4, and given that Penelope Ford and Anna Jay were just out there as friends and they were fighting, Harley Cameron teleported in. She was back in AEW, she got a face mask on, and she chased them all to the back. Thought that was fun. Tekla came in at number 5, and she carried on the Willow Nightingale thing, because she was just beating people up and shouting, yeah, flub you, flub you. There's a lot of swearing. When Julia Hart was number 6, she came out with more of her pals. Then it was Queen Aminata. I got a bit worried because Tekla was in the ring. I was like, oh no, they're going to try and kill each other again. And they did. The new Ring of Honor Women's TV Champion, Mira Sorokara, then came in at 9, and she essentially cleared the field, then did a dance. I was like, takes after myself, does she? That's exactly what I would do. Goofy wrestling for life. Athena came in next, and she got a massive pop, and obviously Thunder Rosa walked in after her. And I was like, well, that was very convenient, because they also fought of Ring of Honor, which is also a good match, and they went back at it too. I mean, it's almost like somebody plans this stuff. Suri then debuted at number 11, and she actually looked really good. And if you're into your world wrestling, you probably got pumped. And Alex Windsor was at 12, kind of making her AEW debut, but kind of not. But that's an amazing story. If you're a fan of UK British wrestling, she has finally made it. She put in the work. Now, I do want to point out that essentially it became a 12-person brawl at this stage. And some of the shots were properly gnarly. I was like, have they forgotten what wrestling is? I mean, I assume they just wanted a hard-hitting battle. And mission accomplished, this is exactly what they did. Nightingale also absolutely destroyed Athena with a DVD onto the apron when Chris was like, excuse me, you insulted me, so now I'm going to one-up you. So she grabbed Megan Bain and she powerbombed her into the pile, which is not the name of my brand new EP. I actually thought like Miri Sorokara was going to win because she was going for the figure 4 after she totally murked Thunder Rosa. But what a great finish. Like when she got the leg and she was twirling around, like you have to do, Athena was already on the top rope. She hit the O-face, she got the 1, 2, 3, This Texas crowd lost their minds, and that is the point of wrestling. If you get a reaction like that, you have done something totally correct. I thought this was good too. How the flub you do Athena versus Toni Storm, I don't know, but I guess we do have to figure it out. And also, Christian took like 47 years to cash in his thing, whatever we're calling it, so maybe she does it in like 46, 49, when AI are ruling the planet and she becomes a robot champion. Nobody else is going to say that on their reviews. I'm giving it an up. Once again, this damn thing just works. Now, I do have to admit, this is when I did start to flag just a little bit, because we were like 5 hours in or whatever it was, when we got to our tag team title match, meaning it was Jed Speed taking on the Patriarchy, taking on the We Are the Hurt Syndicate, and no, you're not going to get any offense on us. Now, it was fun because FTR were watching on commentary like we talked about, and they were very, very amusing. I do just have to give it a down here, not even for the total runtime, but I just think this was the match that needs to be like 8 to 10 minutes. Like, I get it, Tony Khan, he does it for the sickos, and I do respect it, but if you are going to have a card that is this long, one match just needs to be a teeny little bit shorter, or feel like it's shorter at the very least. That's just my opinion. That's how I feel about wrestling. It's still an all-timer of a show, but I've said it now, and to negate any feedback, I'm going to do this weird maneuver. Let's just move on. I don't think Bobby Lashley sold his leg at all either after he got totally murked on Wednesday, so I don't know what that was about. And MVP and MJF were on the outside, and you kind of knew that was just going to tie in. I mean, maybe we were going to get some distraction, interference, and confusion. Otherwise, though, Bobby and Shelton would just get in there as I beat him up, beat him up, beat him up. When Jet Speed and the Patriarchy, mostly Nick Wayne, were like, should we just fight? Because if we fight, maybe we could do some wrestling tennis. When eventually the Hurt Syndicate arrived again, and they continued to kill people. I just want to say this. I think it's wonderful. It makes me laugh out loud, and I'm there to be entertained, but I quite literally have no idea who is ever going to beat them. I mean, even if you wanted to hug them, I think it'd be impossible. And at one point, Shelton Benjamin grabbed Mike Bailey and German suplexed him over the top rope into another pile on the floor. I'm like, yep, that's where we have arrived. I mean, what else could we possibly do? Christian jolted into life at one point, hit a big splash on Kevin, and it looked like he may be able to get the 1, 2, 3. But of course, this is when MVP and MJF were going, hey ref, look over here. And of course, the official did do that. Put a 1 on the dick board. Still regret calling it that. Bobby then continued to murder people, and I was laughing out loud when he just grabbed Christian and he realized Cash and Dax were the announce table. So he just lobbed a human being into that, and of course that caused a bit of a scuffle, and then there were some fisticuffs. I mean, Lashley even pie-faced Dax Harwood, and this is when Christian was like, oh my gosh, I can see my opening, and he was able to dodge a spear when he went for the kill switch, but by this point FTR had gone to the apron, because why wouldn't you do that? So Lashley was like, well, I can use this. He took Christian, he threw him into FTR, when he did indeed hit the spear. 1, 2, 3, the Hurt Syndicate are still your tag team champions. I mean, if you thought anything else, I've got a wonderful Ponzi scheme to sell you. But this actually turned into an angle right after this, which was both brilliant and confusing, because just as Christian was going to leave the ring, Nick Wayne planted him with the kill switch, and honestly, Mother Wayne, she was having the time of her life. She had tears coming out of her seeing devices. She was so damn pleased. And even though it does make sense that Nick Wayne would turn on Christian, because Christian lost again, and then Nick has said, you never get the plan right, man. You're always thinking outside the box, and we're trying to stay inside the box. Christian has been such an awful person, and we were trying to paint him as the babyface, and the crowd did boo. It booed Nick Wayne. So you can say terrible things about people's fathers, and it's totally okay. Now, FTR were joining in here too, so they didn't give a flub, and that should have been your wink, wink, nudge, nudge to what was coming. When, of course, we got the chair, and Nick Wayne was going to concerto Christian. Now, I'm sure some police people were watching. They're like, yeah, we don't care about this. But don't worry, it didn't happen, because at the opportune moment, Adam Copeland's music hit. He returned to AEW. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. He joins Jeff Hardy. He joined somebody else who did it recently, who now I've forgotten, Penta. Penta did it when he did his walk. Adam Copeland decided, well, I understand I'm here to make a save, but I have to do my entrance, including pyrotechnics. Some people want wrestling to change. You're going to have to fight me? It's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. He had Spike with him as well, and we've seen what that can do to people. Go and check out John Moxley's back. And everybody was getting speared here. I think FTR took one too, and poor Kip Sabian got totally destroyed. But the point was, he cleared the field. There were no heels left in the ring when he turned to Christian, and of course these fans went nuts. So did I. We all have nostalgia brain. Edge and Christian were back together again. Kinda, not really. I mean, they were just looking at each other. Not entirely sure on the execution of this, although I know what AEW was going for, because Adam got a microphone and he said, hey Christian, go find yourself, which of course was a playoff when Christian told him to go and flub himself. It's a bit like, listen, it's kind of poetic, and once again, I understand the concept here, but maybe when you said that out loud during practice and went, It doesn't really work, guys. You should have come up with something else. But of course, who even cares about that? Because it was the first tippity step to reuniting one of the best tag teams ever. And what I really appreciate is we didn't just turn Christian here. Edge wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be back. And they started kissing and doing stuff. No, Adam Copeland has told him, look, man, maybe we can re-find fellow ground, but you gotta sort yourself out. Because I've been watching you and you're a very bad person up. I still do think the tag team scene is a little bit weird, because as much as I do love Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, there's just no jeopardy here, so I am just going to give it another small down. At no point did I think they could lose, and Shelton would get mad at me for doing this, but it's nothing against them. I want Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin to be portrayed this way. I honestly could not be more sports entertained, but now we need to find a team who stands up to them, doesn't get absolutely wrecked on TV. For like 72 weeks, then turns up at the pay-per-view and be like, oh, now we've got to go home again. Although I do want to shout out Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. They're going to be totally fine. They are top-tier talent. It was right into Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm after this for the AEW Women's title. And actually, I could sum this up in one sentence. It was brilliant. It was amazing. It was so damn good. And if you do not intend to watch this today, well, you're making a little bit of a mistake. Two of the best wrestlers in the world. I just said that about other wrestlers, but it's true, they have a lot of good wrestlers. They had their big entrances too, which of course you do want to do on a grand stage like this. And instantly, Mercedes was going for the statement maker. I was like, can somebody please tell her she has to fill up her meter first? We've been talking about this all year. We've all played the video game. You do some moves, you then wiggle some sticks and stuff, and all of a sudden you have a signature, then you go for it. Now, Toni Storm was able to escape by spanking Mercedes, and I even think she called her a bad girl. So that should have worried you, and it definitely worried me. Because those crazies on the internet are going to have a field day. Mone was so damn mad that Luther caught Toni as well when she knocked her out of the ring, that Mercedes actually did a meteor onto both of them and she broke Luther's glasses, and this crowd reacted like she had killed Santa Claus. And that is how over this timeless gimmick is. Even if Luther gets it, people are like, well, that's absolutely disgusting. Mercedes then powerbombed Toni Storm onto the floor, because why wouldn't you do that? So Toni got back in the ring and gave her a sky high. Which is when Mone decided to snap her arm and she came off the top with the splash of the frogs, but Toni Storm got her knees up. You can see what you're doing here. It was wrestling tennis again, and this one had all the jeopardy in the world. I mean, it could have gone either way. Storm then used Sweet Cheek Music and Storm Zero to get a 1-2-ooh. We're going to get back to that in just 1 second. When she applied the chicken wing. So Mercedes was like, ah, and she bit to get out of it. Now, at first, I was a little bit offended, but then I was like, it's called a chicken wing. And if you heard the commentators going, oh, it's chicken, and you were a bit oogly boogly, well, you probably would take a bite. Justified. They then punched each other for a while when Mercedes hit the Mania Maker, but Storm kicked out of that one as well, because essentially this was a WrestleMania main event. When we got the Statement Maker, and that was reversed into the choke, when we got our controversy, because Toni went Storm Zero, Storm Zero, Storm Zero, and Mercedes kicked out at the 1-2-ooh. Somebody sent me a message saying, they can't do that. I was like, well, they can, because they quite literally did. I understand some people being a bit perturbed that we just had somebody kick out of 3 pile drivers, but it's wrestling, man, and look what the finish was. We were just escalating here. You won't be surprised to hear I was totally fine with this. There was then this superb false finish where Mercedes hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment and grabbed the rope. And actually, I watched it a couple of times because I am a geek. It really does feel like a 3, but it also doesn't. You could not have timed that any better. Mercedes then hit the backstabber, so Storm came back with another Sweet Cheek Music. So once again, it was just you go, I go, we all go. When I think finally Toni Storm decided I'd like to get back to my makeup chair and do my headshots or something, because they did start fighting on top of Tina the Turnbuckle, which is always scary. Toni Storm kissed Mercedes, which essentially was a kiss of death, when I kid you not, she hit this devastating looking Avalanche Storm Zero, which ties into that trifecta from earlier. Of course that was the finish. This place came unglued. It was such a good match. Toni Storm has just given Mercedes Moné her first loss in All Elite Wrestling. So what the flub happened to the creative control? Let's not worry about stupid things like that. Just a really well put together match. And Toni Storm now, well, she's basically the main flipping character. It really did feel like a huge deal though, and we have to find a way to run this back at All Out. And of course, Mercedes should beat Toni at one point. It can become a forever feud. I am giving it an up. I tell you, man, 5 stars, 6.25 in the Tokyo Dome. What a stupid card this was as well, because it was then time to unify the International Continental title. So out came Kenny Omega and Okada to have a match on US soil. Now listen, I, not for 1 second, which is not a sentence, thought this was going to be up to the level of what they did in New Japan, because that was 7 years ago and they'd both been through so much. So what they did do is they took all their skills, they took all their experience, and they took the fact that they were doing it in the West, and I thought they crafted an absolutely brilliant match. I don't want to start comparing everything, because comparison is a thief of joy, but if you just watch it in context of All In, just utterly fantastic. They just have this incredible chemistry together, and I could always watch them. And it kind of felt like, especially because the 5 minutes were so wild, maybe they were holding something back. Now, I may be second guessing myself here, but either one, I'm totally wrong, or two, I think they may do it again like Britney Spears, and then we may get more of a sprint. But either way, this is what I was talking about with the short matches. This felt totally different from everything else on the card, well, apart from all the outside shenanigans, because it just built so slowly, and all of a sudden, bam, here we go. Jim Ross was on commentary too, which was really nice given what he's been through. Kenny Omega's entrance was the most over-the-top thing you've ever seen in your life, when he quite literally walked through an Omega symbol. He was actually on top in the early going too, and Okada didn't know what to do when he remembered his promo beforehand, and he went, wow. And he punched Kenny Omega right in the tum-tum, and that's where he had his diverticulitis. And Kenny just started to sell. Listen, let's talk about selling for just 1 second, because nobody else does it. It is the point of making you go, I'm worried about my baby face. And Kenneth Omega may be one of the best to do it. And even when he went for the You Can't Escape, Okada got his knees up, so of course, once again, it meant he was hurting his tum-tum. When they fought down in the announce table where Don Callis was, and man, Okada dropped this man right on his face. It looked like he was dead. Omega then started to smack Kenny, but he must have accidentally hit his no-sell button because he came back with the Terminator dive, which honestly is an absolutely wondrous thing to watch. And then Okada flattened this dude with a DVD. So Omega basically dragged his ass to the top rope, gave him this horrible throw, I'm gonna call it. That's what it looked like. The Okada landing, I mean, it looked like he fell on his head. I don't think he did, but either way, it kind of came across like he'd been in a car wreck. We then got Bomb of Powers and V-triggers, but Okada kept kicking out, which is when all the madness did begin, because Rocky Romero was here, and Trent was here, and Ibushi was out with Kenny, so everybody was fighting everybody else off. So that does have to be a one on the dick board. But it really did lead to another great 1-2 on this show, because Kenny Omega hit the One-Wing Angel, and this is how good they are. I actually thought, oh my gosh, he's going to be the second person ever to kick out of this thing. And it kind of happened, but not really. The ref went 1, the ref went 2, and Don Callis pulled the official out the ring. Even though you see this all the time in sports entertainment, it got me. It took me a second to figure out what had happened. And I know people are going, oh man, why wasn't there a disqualification? And give you the reason, wrestling. You'd be like, that's not a fair excuse. I'm sorry. Everybody does it. It's the same here. Omega then called another ref to the ring when he got the V-trigger, and he went for another One-Wing Angel. But man, Okada turned it into the Rainmaker. And this Kenny Omega kicked out at the 1-2. And that's when I was like, man, I only think we would do that if Okada was winning. I started to get very apprehensive. Okada then went back to the tum-tum and wanted another Rainmaker, but Kenny turned it into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, but that didn't work either. When I tell you, they both stood up, they kind of had a mini exchange. Okada did a tilt-a-whirl, he hit the Rainmaker, and he pinned Kenny Omega for the 1-2-3. Now look, it was a good exchange, because it felt like a real fight, but I did not see that coming. I was like, we are not in Toto anymore, cats. So maybe it did feel a little bit like Take That and Party, but again, the last 5 to 10 minutes I thought were great. I can't get rid of this feeling in my brain. I think we're going to run it back one last time, and you could do it another 47,699 times, and this bald idiot would be fine with it. So yes, just so the comments don't go crazy. No, if you do want to look at it from a certain perspective, it wasn't as good as what they've done before, but in terms of where we are in 2025, I thought it was excellent. Again, I can just watch them fight forever, or the allocated minutes they get on a TV show. I mean, you'd never give it a down. That's the best way I can sum it up with my stupid review system. I am giving it an up, and I will die on this flubbing hill. When we did get to our main event, Texas Death Match for a world title that's in a briefcase, Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley. And if you want me to sum this up in headline form, and it's a little bit crude, so please forgive me, but it was the WrestleMania 40 main event, rated R. Hangman also came out to his original music, and for some reason that was the most emotional thing ever, when this became disgusting. Now I have to applaud AEW, because if they tell you a stipulation, that's what you're getting. But at one point, early on too, Page had a fork, or some kind of stabbing device, and he was stabbing Jon Moxley right in the head, and there was nothing fake about this. You saw the blood in real time. Jon didn't go to a corner and blade himself. He took fork shots to the forehead, and now I don't know what to do with my life. We then had what I can only describe as glass trash in the ring, and Moxley was dragging Hangman Adam Page through that, and I even said out loud, why are they doing this, mummy? When I realized I was a grown man watching a wrestling pay-per-view by myself, and no, I shouldn't have said that. Poor Cowboy then got thrown into so much of this stuff, he was bleeding too, and of course, finally the referee did start to count to 10. It was a Texas death match. You either can't answer the count, or you have to submit. Mox also had glass in his ass at one point, I swear, where they just punched each other in the face, and again, they were holding nothing back. It was just so crazy. when John Moxley set up 2 chairs, right? But he put the backs together, so Hangman Adam Page reversed it and powerbombed his back onto those things. I'm sorry, if we find out that John Moxley can't walk anymore, it will be because of that spot. Once again, it looked disgusting. Marina Shafir was also throwing in chairs like the 2 old people had just gone for a walk, and Moxley even sat down on one at one point. Apparently by this stage, Page didn't think we had enough, so he punched Moxley in the face with a glass fist. I don't mean he turned his hand into glass, I mean he had glass in like the little bits between your fingers, and I started to shout, well, where are the policemen? Why are the police not doing anything? Wheeler Yuta then tried to interfere, but as always, he got totally killed when Hangman was just on a spree, because he grabbed Marina Shafir and he dropped her through a table too. We then got a dead eye on the glass, so poor John Moxley was just being murdered, and I think that's when Claudio was like, listen, I really think we have to help our boss, because he then ran in there, but then Will Ospreay came down. Claudio's obsessed with Pillmanizing people, so he then Pillmanized Will, he got a neck brace on, and he was taken out, so now he was Samoa Joe too. The Death Riders then set up this barbed wire table thing, which freaked me out, and of course Moxley and Hangman suplexed each other through it. And even Tony Schiavone was like, well, surely that hurt both of them. I was like, yes, Tone, yes, it did. Somehow they both came back with fighting spirits, so they must have secretly taken the Phoenix down when we weren't looking. And I guess Mox must have got the better of that because he was then choking Adam Page. And if you were a Cowboy fan, you're like, oh my gosh, Adam, please tell me you got 8 hours sleep last night. Otherwise, you're going to fall asleep. Now, because John thought the Hangman had actually passed out, he left the referee to count to 10. But miraculously, the Cowboy did get back to his feet. But I just thought this was really well done. Because not only was Adam Page stumbling around, John Moxley was too. And if they had both collapsed and we got a draw because of lack of blood, we'd been like, yeah, look how much has come out of their heads. Moxley then gave him a Death Rider on the chair. By this point, I just didn't know what to do. When the Death Riders are back, and this time they had their trusty back, which means their plan now was, well, if we just kill him, he definitely can't stand up. That's probably what we should do. They gave it to Wheeler Yuta too, who seemed to have a crisis of confidence here, so he's so useless the best possible way. When, and I've never said this in my life, but I kid you not, this is what happened. We cut to the top of Mount Everest because Darby Allin, when he was up there, had cut a promo saying, John Moxley, I'm coming for your ass. When we came back to the ring, Blue Panther was here. I was like, why Blue Panther here? He hit the Psycho knee, and man, it was Bryan Danielson. Even I was losing at this point. This is the WrestleMania 40 thing, but thank goodness AEW did this. He did the yes chants and the yes kicks. It may have been the best moment of my life. This is when Darby Allin did become Batman, or Sting, I suppose, and he flew down from the rafters for one of the best returns ever. John Moxley couldn't believe that when Hangman Adam Page zoomed in with the buckshot lariat, when Darby Allin did the coffin drop, and I was like, Santa Claus is going to come down. Santa Claus is going to walk out, and I'd be like, listen, Santa, we were expecting you. Page then hit a dead eye on Mox through the table, and he wasn't able to answer the 10 until Marina Shafir had taken her med pack, and she pulled this guy onto his feet. So once again, I was like, this is so brilliant. We are taking all the characters and proving what we have got here. I thought it was in many ways a masterpiece. Of course, we hadn't seen the Young Bucks, so they hit the EVP trigger on their best friend when they went under the ring and introduced us to a bed of nails. I was like, please don't drop Hangman and a Page on that. But of course they did. I don't know if they were real nails or fake nails, but I don't care. It looked horrific. And Hangman had been through so much pain anyway, he must have felt like death. I mean, Moxie stomped his face and hit a paradigm shift into those things, but Page still got up, and by that point I was like, if he doesn't win, John Moxley is going to have to be the champion forever because nobody is going to be able to come up with anything else. Finally, though, John Moxley was like, damn it, we're going to have to get the title out of the briefcase, which I thought was such a nice touch, and he told Marina to do it, but when she got to Timmy the Timekeeper's area, all of a sudden she was actually handcuffed to something when Prince Nana appeared. This was so well thought out because it meant the camera then cut to the entranceway. Swerve was here with Hangman Adam Page's magic chain that they talked about on Collision. He took out a couple of guys before he slid it to Hangman, but kind of walked away like, look, I don't like you, but I do understand. If you have been locked into that story for the last 2 years, it is a massive round of applause. This, my friends, is professional wrestling. There was some more shenanigans before the ending too, including with that bed of nails that John Moxley went into for good measure. But ultimately, Page took the chain, he hanged John Moxley over the top rope, and this is where we have to send all the praise to one Jonathan Moxley. He didn't sell this like he didn't want to lose a match. He didn't sell this like he was in pain. He sold it like he was going to die, like he couldn't breathe. And if I was going to make like best sales list of the modern day, which makes no sense, I honestly would consider putting Moxley here at number 1. I've never seen a face like it. I totally bought it. So when he did tap out, I was like, yeah, his brain was telling him death is coming. Hangman Adam Page is your champion. Honestly, no notes. No notes whatsoever. I would change nothing here. And also the briefcase angle was awesome because eventually Hangman Page did open it. This place went crazy. Bryan Daniels' side plate, whatever it's called, was still on the side to show you how long it's been in there. So I get the whole Death Riders thing had some low points. But if this was the end goal, and this is what AEW always planned to do, well, it was a terrific narrative because the payoff, my gosh, it knocked you over like a bowling pin. The match too was both good and bad in many ways, depending how you do watch it. And I would rather wrestlers didn't try to kill themselves like this, but I couldn't stop watching. I was totally compelled, and I had been told it was a Texas death match. So what did I expect? It doesn't just get an up, it gets a golden up. And bless Tony Khan for just doing the right thing, which is not what I mean to say. But the big babyface winning the big belt on your biggest show of the year, once again, let's just use the same phrase. That's wrestling, man. I thought this was one of the best main events that AEW has ever done. Which does indeed bring us to the end of a very long show. Like, it was absolutely crazy, but I had such a good time, and it certainly sounds like other people had a good time too. I'm gonna give it an up overall. It is well worth your time. But now, get in those comments. Let me know what you thought about the thing. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Interact as much as possible. And I will see you later when we review Saturday night's main event. But for now, we must get this video up. I love you. I appreciate the time. See you soon.